you to our special guest this morning, Dr. David Wannenburg, Head Prefect of 10 years ago, 2005, at the grade. David arrived at our school in his grade 8 year in 2001, this after spending his formative years at grade junior. Besides being head prefect, he was chairman of the grade union and a member of the wind band, the military band and the orchestra, and this as first trombone. David earned his provincial colours for rugby in 2003 and 5. He was a member of the South African National Rugby Green Squad in 2003 and 4. A grey man is an involved man, and David certainly fell into this category. His academic results were consistently excellent. David studied at the University of Stellenbosch and qualified with a Bachelor of Medicine and Bachelor of Surgery in 2011. As a student, he represented Junior Maltese Rugby in 2006 and 7, and also played for the Hamilton's Rugby Club's first team, which won the National Club Championship in 2009. David is married to Lisa, also a medical doctor. He is currently a family physician, registered with the College of Physicians and Surgeons of Alberta in Canada. It has taken him 4 flights to get to us for this prestigious occasion, and we admire and respect him for honouring us this morning with his presence. He arrived yesterday evening at 9 o'clock, and believe it or not, flies back to work tomorrow, Saturday, to get back in time on Monday. Also fantastic to have his dad, Dr. Paul and Mrs. Tony Wannenburg in the gallery this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, men of the grey, put your hands together please for Dr. David Wannenburg.
Good morning, Mr. Crawford, and staff, parents, visitors, all the grey men, and most importantly, the outgoing matrix of 2015. A decade has passed since I stood in the same place on this very stage and watched and listened to an old grey head boy, 10 years my senior, address the matrix of 2005. From that day onward, I knew that the day would come where I would stand here and do the same. Knowing that fact kind of puts the pressure on, because not many people will ever deliver a speech in their lives that they've had 10 years to prepare for. So I'll do my best to make my teachers proud. What a few of them are still around. When I reflect on my last day at school and the valedictory ceremony, I remember a day filled with emotions and smiles and laughter, and also quite a few tears. I'll never forget a mate, Jacques Mondier, first team lock, a large lad, 6'5", 115 kgs, larger-than-life personality, arrived at school in tears on the last day. And that speaks volumes for the type of passion and love that the Grey Boys have for their school. And sure enough, Jacques wasn't the only boy to cry on that day. I'll try not to get too soppy right out of the box here. But whilst preparing, I knew that there would be so much emotion and excitement around this day that it would be nearly impossible to give a message that any matric will remember. So I'll try and be as relevant and as simple as possible for you guys. Okay, so what does it mean to be a Grey boy, and what are these past years at Grey going to mean to you as you progress on to your 10-year reunion and beyond? I want to tell you just a few things that I've learned since I left these walls 10 years ago. One of the things I've certainly learned is that it's fairly risky for the rector to call back an old Grey from 10 years ago, head boy or not. It shows me that he has got a lot of faith in the character of Grey men in general. And the reason I'm saying this is that a lot will change in the next 10 years. Some of you will go on and study, some of you will become professional sportsmen, some will take a gap year, some of you will go overseas and possibly not return. Some of you will be married, and some of you will bring your lighties to your 10-year reunion. Some of you will bring more than one of them. And so
that slightly nerdy, tubby guy that you only ever greeted in passing may end up lean, carved gym bunny covered in tattoos and chains. And that hostile prefect that everyone thought would be a male model may end up brewing beer on the beaches in Mozambique. And your third team fly-off mate might end up a professional player on the European circuit. And guys that were never really rated as athletes may end up completing 2 or even 3 Ironman events. One or more of your closest friends may pass away and never make your 10-year reunion. You will remember him forever, and you'll always have the memories you created together. Some of the guys you may not have put money on will become hugely successful, and others may fail to meet your expectations. These are all examples that I have real-life names for in my head. And the reason I'm telling you this is because regardless of what you think or feel today, you have a completely blank canvas on which to paint your lives as you leave this hall today. I know that there are definitely some of you that are confident that you know what you will do with your lives, you will be disciplined and committed, and you will follow through with it, and you will succeed in whichever sphere of life. There are also those of you that feel that you have a pretty solid plan, but I can assure you that plans can change. Then there are those of you that are absolutely clueless about what to do and what you will be come your 10-year reunion. And what I want to tell you is that all of those groups will be perfectly fine, even the last guys. Because being a grey boy has given you a platform from which you can only move forward. When I think back to being what I thought was a fairly sensible 18-year-old, I now know that I was actually part of the clueless group, despite thinking I was part of the Silver Army. But my foundations and morals and discipline learned at the grey helped me to make the right choices more often than not, and that's all you really need. When you leave grey, you will make new friends that aren't grey boys, and you'll start to realize how connected the old grey network is, and how you can rely on it, and how you can meet a grey boy that's 10 or 15 years your senior, and immediately click with him because you were cut from the same cloth. You'll become friends with guys, great guys, who weren't fortunate enough to have the same schooling experience that you've had here. And you will tell them stories about the passion, and the gears, and the sport, and the assemblies, and cadets, and I promise you they will envy you and what the grey gave you. Warren Buffett said that the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they are too heavy to be broken. And I think that this quote can be seen in a positive or a negative light. I see the chains of habit that grey has taught me as an amazing advantage, and you'll only realize that when you become aware of the fact that the way you conduct yourself and go about your life has been heavily influenced by your school and your amazing teachers. Those days you hated that SO for giving you dress parade because your shoes weren't shiny, or your house prefect for sending you to drive shade for what can only be described as bum fluff on your 14-year-old face. Or that stupid prefect for throwing you out of the Hallowed Hall for whispering to your mate on the way to assembly on a Monday morning. You think these things trivial, but when you leave here, you'll start to realize that these are the very things that make you different from the crowd, different from the average Joe. These are the things that will make you proud to stand up one day and say, I'm a grey boy. You will realize that your school and teachers taught you manners and chivalry and how to give a firm handshake, and that manners really do make it man. I've come to realize there are few things more valuable to you in life than a warm smile, a positive attitude, and a firm handshake. And you see an example of this every time the director calls somebody up on stage to receive an accolade of sorts. I didn't realize its value at the time, but I was privileged enough to be on the receiving end of a tut by Mr. Pat Clark in grade 5 on how to give a firm handshake. If for whatever reason you couldn't shake like a grey man, you were swiped swiftly over the head with a rolled up piece of styrofoam, affectionately known as the poofter. And it's stories like that that you'll tell people for the rest of your days. The other thing I've learned since leaving school is that what you achieved here won't necessarily dictate how you achieve out there in the big wide world. Going out into the world, out of your relatively sheltered environment that the grey has created for you, you will realize that life is the ultimate equalizer. What do I mean by this? I mean that the success or failures that you experienced in school, that were huge and life-altering at the time, probably won't mean as much to people outside of the grey cocoon. And I think this is a good thing. For the overachievers, it means resting on your laurels won't take you very far. You'll encounter a whole new wave of competition, other brilliant and innovative people that will hopefully drive you to stay ahead of the pack and continue to achieve. It's also good for the guys that maybe feel slightly disappointed. by something, or maybe a feeling that you failed in some way during your school years. Maybe you really wanted an A average and you missed it. Maybe you were heading for first team glory and you were devastated by an injury. Maybe you desperately wanted to get into that specific course and you're just not making the cut. Not taking anything away from your personal disappointment at these things. I want to say that there's hope, and there's so much time to turn any of these disappointments into success. When you leave these walls, it won't much matter if you were first 15 or fifth, head prefect, first violin, or the cheerleader. You'll have to prove your worth to the world from scratch, and it's a level playing field for all from now on. As you can gather from what I said earlier, I wasn't so sure about this whole medicine thing when I finished school. To be honest, all I actually wanted to do was play rugby. But off I went to studies and I joined the ranks of medical students. And in our first week of initiation at my residence, I remember the head of house asked all head or deputy head prefects to please raise their hands. It turns out there was about a third of the gents there. And that was a humbling experience, and you soon start to realize that your personal achievements at school are not going to carry you very far in that environment. It's those habits that I mentioned. It's that discipline, the determination, the passion, the please, thank you, yes sir, yes ma'am, and a firm handshake. Those are the things that are going to separate you from the rest. And it really is as simple as that. One word that summarizes it all up quite nicely is excellence. And excellence is the reason all these dedicated members of staff come to work every day. It's with the hope that when you leave these grounds, you will not only be a half-decent member of society, but that some of the excellence that the Grace simply oozes would have rubbed off on you. You see it in the buildings, on the grounds, on the pitch of the hallowed Pollock. You see it when a 7-year-old lighty tips his cap to you at the zebra crossing. Those things we often take for granted. They are excellence. And they are the things that make the biggest difference. The other thing I've learned is that you need to cherish your friends and relationships and be forever grateful to your teachers. I've seen it many times. When tragedy strikes, it's the people, family and friends that you love the most that become the most important thing to you. Why we wait until dire times to value those close to us baffles me. So enjoy every moment you have with your mates and families and your wives and kids one day. You all know Usain Bolt, and we remember how he won the 100 meters in 2008. I mean, who can forget it? Arms in the air, you know, sort of 3 meters in front of everybody else. But I'll bet very few of you can remember who came second on that day. Can you imagine what a huge achievement it must have been for that guy and his family? I mean, a silver medal at the Olympics, and to lose to Usain Bolt, it's an honor. Except no one except him and his mother can remember it. And in another era, an era without Usain Bolt, who is a freak, he would have been an Olympic gold medalist. But none of us know his name. And to put it in perspective, 10 years have passed and you can wake me up at 3 a.m. on a Tuesday morning and I'll be able to tell you we taught me biology and matric and the name of the mate who sat next to me. In fact, he lives in London now and I've seen him twice in the past 10 years. Last time being my 10-year reunion when we sat down and had a few beers together. And what I'm trying to get at is that the relationships and the people that are close to you and the experiences you share with them are going to stay with you far longer than any achievements or accolades that you attain. So to recap briefly, there's things I've learned in the past 10 years, there may be one or two others, but a smile, a firm handshake, positive attitude, and relationships. Those are important. And don't rest on your laurels or get despondent due to failures. Now I want to share with you what I feel were the most valuable lessons or habits that I learned during my time in the grade. As time passes, all of you will start to value different aspects of what your school gave you, whether it be a sense of belonging, good mates, great sporting opportunities and facilities, an amazing academic platform, or the best cricket pitch in the Eastern Cape. When I look at myself, besides what I've already mentioned, I think the most valuable pearls that I learned were a healthy sense of respect for my elders and seniors, and that respect must be earned. I learned that not all, but certainly most things can be achieved with discipline and perseverance, and that failing in everything that I've mentioned thus far, arriving on time makes a good first impression. These are all things that were diffused slowly into me during my time in the grade, and for that I will be forever grateful. One trait that I'm sure most of you have, and that I sincerely hope that you will retain, is a sense of pride in your school. I was taught during my time at Grey how important it is to take pride in your uniform, take pride in the appearance of the grounds, Take pride in your performance on the field, and that is one thing that I hope will grow in you as you become all grades. It's something that's so difficult to explain to somebody that didn't attend grade, or maybe another all-boys school for that matter. The amount of passion and fierce and pride we have in our school and our blue blood is something truly special and remarkable. That's possibly the thing that I value most about my time at Grey. The fierce and the camaraderie of the Grey boys in general. It's virtually impossible to put your finger on it. How can you explain it to somebody that hasn't experienced it firsthand? And the short answer is that you can't. And that's what makes it so special and so valuable to you. It's a love for your school and all that it gave you that I can assure to you very few people have. To the grade 11s, the matrics of 2016, I'd like to wish you all the best for the year ahead. Honestly, I thought if I were to do it all again, what would I do differently? And all I would say is do my maths on it. But yeah, to the new head prefect, his deputy, and the prefect body that will be announced shortly, good luck. It's not always an easy task, and it's not always the popular decision that is the correct one. And I hope that you learn that swiftly, and that the boys will back you 100% of the way. To the rest of the school, and especially the grade 11s, I feel that I must share this with you. Coming up onto this stage, 10 years ago, that Monday morning after I was announced head prefect, was probably one of the most daunting things that I've ever had to do in my life. I think I approached that entrance about 4 times and backed out before I actually got the guts to walk up and stand up in the front here. And for that reason, I ask you, just back your boys that you've elected into leadership roles in this transitioning time, and set an example for the new young grade men that will join your ranks as grade 8s in the years to come. To the outgoing boys of 2015, I wish you all the best. Go forth and make yourselves and your school proud, and never be afraid to tap into the old grade network, as it can be a powerful asset. All the best for the upcoming final exams. One of my profs at med school told me that passing is as simple as ABC. Apply your bum to the chair. I was never all that great at it, but I wish you all the best and a well-deserved break in the career before 2016 brings a new wave of challenges and opportunities. Enjoy today and this time. Walk slowly beneath the tower and absorb every moment as you bid farewell to your fellow grey men, and give it horns when you sing for all the saints for the last time in your grey blazer. C.S. Lewis said that it may be hard for an egg to turn into a bird. It would be a jolly sight harder for it to learn to fly while remaining an egg. We are like eggs at present, and you cannot go on indefinitely being just an ordinary, decent egg. We must be hatched or go bad. As I've told you, you have been in the best school in the country, arguably the world, for the past few years, and I'm certain that you are now all ready to hatch and to not just fly, but soar amongst the highest and the best. Go forth as proud old grades and set an example for the generations that will follow in your footsteps. I'd like to thank all of you, the rector and the staff, for giving me the opportunity to address you today. It was a privilege and an honor to be at your valedictory ceremony. And enjoy this time.
I ask the head boy, Michael Marker, to propose a vote of thanks to our guest. Thank you, Michael.
Dr. David Wannenburg, on behalf of the matrics and everyone in the hall, thank you very much, especially for flying out all the way from Canada. It takes a lot of dedication, and we really appreciate it. And I'm sure that there are many boys sitting down here who took that message to heart, including me, so thank you very much.
It's always a difficult process selecting a fresh group of prefects to lead the school